to consider charges for motorists to park on Sundays.
So, will the move control traffic flow? Will it make it easier for residents to park, as has been claimed? Or is it another nail in the coffin for the High Street? Well, let's talk now to Westminster Councillor Rowley and Northampton Borough Councillor Tim Hadland. Both of you, welcome to breakfast. Thank you very much for joining us. We should start with you, Lee, because I can see people up and down, not necessarily people who live in Westminster, but all over the country who see these parking charges come in, small businesses and people who just want to nip to the shops on a Sunday, grab what they can and go home and be very annoyed that parking's coming in.
Yeah, well, Westminster spent a year looking at what's actually happening on our streets, and what we found is that on a Sunday afternoon there are more cars parking in a very small part of central London than there are during the weekdays, and ultimately that's meaning that people can't get around to visit or to deliver, and people can't find spaces to park.
It just means you can get more money, really.
Well, it's not about revenue, and if people can't get about in the first place, if people can't get down the street because people are parking on both sides, bumper to bumper, people can't find a parking space, it's not going to help residents get to their houses, it's not going to help visitors deliver, it's not going to help visitors be able to park in Westminster to start with.
Sorry to single you out here, but you are the one introducing this. You are seriously telling me this is not about revenue and that people have been crying out to ease the traffic flow on a Sunday by introducing charging?
Well, we put several hundred pages of evidence and investigations on our website, and ultimately we're not the first to do this. We've held off for 17 years since the changes to Sunday trading to see whether this problem would resolve itself. People like Newcastle have had these charges for 20 years. We've waited, but we still see there's a problem and we're trying to do something about it.
Councillor Tim Hadland, in Northampton there are different proposals. Explain what you plan or hope to do and why you think this may be a better way of easing parking congestion.
It's a different solution to a different problem. In Northampton, like many towns around the country, the high street and the town centre is suffering, and what we need to do is get more people in, and as many people as we can. We did a lot of survey work before the last election, and people told us loud and clear that parking was one of our major town centre problems. So we said that we would roll out the welcome mat and have free 1 hour parking and free parking on Sundays as soon as possible to encourage as many people as possible to come in.
And we've got a number of emails coming in here. We stopped going into Derby and Nottingham altogether when parking fees were introduced, and out-of-town supermarket and internet shopping meets all our requirements. We've had the Federation of Small Businesses on. They say you're damaged at a very difficult time.
Well, this is only for a very small part of Westminster, and it's only a proposal at the moment. 75% of Westminster will be completely unaffected by these changes. So if people want to come in and park for free on street, they could still do so, just a few minutes away from Oxford Street, for example. This is about targeting a specific problem. It's not about bringing in some kind of blanket change.
Have you spoken to local businesses in the area and gauged their reaction?
Yes, we've done.
And what is their reaction? Because, as Simon mentioned, the Federation of Small Businesses says this is a concern. People are going to just end up going to the larger shopping malls where parking is free and avoid the smaller boutiques, the smaller independent stores.
It's fair to say a number of businesses do have concerns, but we've spent the last year or so speaking to people. We've run 2 consultations that we didn't have to do by law because we genuinely want to understand what people are thinking about these problems and these proposals.
Tim, are you not going to miss the revenue that some of this brings in? I mean, clearly it's a tough time for all local authorities. It might be quite tempting to take this money.
Well, the car parks aren't full at the moment, and we're confident that we're going to increase business overall and bridge the gap. You were just mentioning Derby and Nottingham. It's not so far up the road if they care to come and see us and enjoy their hour free.
And did you see that as a competitive, come to us because, are you going to advertise that accordingly?
Well, we must do. There are an awful lot of places within an hour of Northampton, so it's a very competitive world, and we want more people heading in our direction.
OK, all right, well, thank you very much indeed, both you, Lee and Tim. Plenty of comment that is generating. We've got some here. This is churchgoers, actually, was what we meant to mention to you, Lee. I attend the Salvation Army Church on Oxford Street. We have 300 people attending most Sunday mornings. These charges are ridiculously expensive and could prohibit us from attending our church in the future. You have spoken to church leaders, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to Major Brown from the Salvation Army lots of times. I mean, ultimately, if anybody wants to park, they have free parking still if these proposals go. Less than 5 minutes walk away from Regent's Hall, which is the Salvation Army headquarters in Oxford Street.
All right, well, thanks to you both.
Thank you. Time is coming up to 19 minutes past 8. You're watching Breakfast. Here are the headlines this